Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Overreaction Buffalo Postgame Show, special edition on a non-Buffalo Bills Sunday evening. This is a call-in show. It's going to be a lot of fun, so hopefully you guys will join me. We'll get some callers. We'll get some participation. You guys will jump in, and we'll have a little bit of a conversation. But this show is brought to you by the Market Dominator team on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network, presented by Picasso's Pizza. Treat yourself to the most flavorful pizza on game day. Picasso's We Are Buffalo Pizza, shipping local and nationwide. Order online at picassospizza.net. I am the voice of this here Overreaction Buffalo post-game show. My name is Joe Miller, and you can find me, as always, on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. You can follow me on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. I'm going to be honest, though. The place that I spend the most time is Twitter. I don't spend a whole lot of time on Instagram at all, and I spend barely a little more time on Facebook. But would love to have you follow me. Would love to have you interact with me. It would be fantastic. Welcome everybody into the show. Real quick, let's right from the top hear from our show sponsor, the Market Dominator.
Introducing the Market Dominator.
Folks, I'm John Spaschak. That's right, the Market Dominator. And I am the proud sponsor of the Overreaction podcast, hosted by my good friend, Joe Miller.
That's me.
You know, his approach is absolutely outstanding. It's excellent. And that's what our approach is when we get into real estate. We help our clients win, just like our beloved team is doing week in and week out. So folks, if you want somebody representing you with the most cutting edge technology, using artificial intelligence and everything we can get our hands on to help you win, you reach out to me directly, 716-570-3298. We will answer our phone. And one more thing, go Bills.
Go Bills, ladies and gentlemen. That is John Spaschak, the leader of the Market Dominator team. And yes, if you're in the market to buy or sell a home, please give John a call, 716-570-3298. Tell him the voice sent you. So good to have all of you. We are Super Chat Live. I'm going to do my best actually to roll through some of the comments tonight. So you shouldn't have to necessarily Super Chat me. I'm going to do the best that I can to pay attention. I don't even really have a script. That's where we're at with this thing. But we are at a point right now. This is just a throw it in. Let's have an extra segment and have some fun. Here we are. We got our first super chat. Brooke, thank you so much for being a part of the show. Missed ya. It's been a minute. Hey, y'all. So sorry I missed. That's funny. I didn't even pre-read it. And she says, so sorry that I've missed so many shows. You do not have to apologize ever. Life happens. It's just kind of one of those things. Sadly, school needs to come first. Only have 2 full semesters left after this one. Let's go Bills. Congratulations, Brooke, on whatever you are going to do with the rest of your life. Just know that the world is 1,000% your oyster. There's nothing that you can't do if you don't put your mind to, or if you do put your mind to it, rather, and you apply yourself. So we'll be rooting for you on this side over here at the Overreaction Show, as well as Buffalo Rumblings. But yes, it's so good to have every single one of you guys, and it's a great day. What a great day for football. You know, I am one of these people, and we'll talk about it here in a second a little bit more, that loves a non-Bills Sunday. For everything that I hope that you watched football this past Sunday. I hope that you paid attention. To that end, it is a victory Sunday, even still, and tomorrow is Victory Monday. But what I want to do real quick is just take one more opportunity to welcome all of you, and then we'll get this thing kicked off. So whether this podcast finds you around a cup of coffee, at the gym with your AirPods in, on the drive to work, or watching me live right now, let me just say one more time, welcome. It's so good to have every single one of you. So I've got 2 people in the queue right now to jump on the show that we're gonna hear from. I'm gonna throw the link back into the chat. Who do we got up in here? We've got Jessica Tennis, Richard Rush is in the room, Xavier Stutz, Karen's in the room, Daniel Gowries is in the room, Jason Humbert's in the room. There's a whole bunch of y'all. Tony actually commented at 5:15. I'm not sure if Tony is present or not. Yeah, it's good to have every single one of you guys with us. Again, if you've got something you want to say, if you want to talk about the games today, if you want to talk about that game on Thursday, if you want to talk about the AFC East, if you want to talk about anything at all, if you've just got general questions to ask, feel free to jump in and let's have a conversation real quick. This week's games, and then I'm going to get to some callers. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take some callers right now. We're going to go to Sharon first. Sharon is a longtime listener and not attendee, but kind of a podcast attendee. But Sharon's been around for a minute and she's all over Twitter. Sharon, it's so good to have you with us. Welcome to the show. What you got for me?
I didn't call in, but this show is fantastic. I'm out in Bradenton, Florida.
You
I'm
did
just
call in,
enjoying
Sharon.
the show.
You followed the
don't
link and you're backstage. You got to talk to me now. That's how this works.
No, I'm enjoying it. What do I know? I'm computer illiterate. But listen, Joe, I'm the one that asked you when you're going to be on. I've been waiting.
I know who you are. I know
I'm
exactly.
sitting on my lanai and I'm enjoying life.
That's
No.
awesome. Well, go
Okay,
ahead.
now I'll go to the other chat. What do I know? I just press things.
Well, don't leave me yet. You're here. We might as well have a little bit of a conversation.
Okay.
So, what did you think about that
Okay.
game on Thursday night?
Oh my God. You know something? I know everybody couldn't wait to see our offense, but I couldn't wait to see the defense because we never got to see Vaughn. And it's scary because we only rush 4 and we have so much depth. That's the type of defense that you have, like the 49ers, where you have an average quarterback. That defense with our offense, just think about that for 1 second. Okay? Think about it. So I'm pretty excited.
I am too. And what about the games today? Did you watch the Dolphins and the Patriots game down there in Bradenton?
Yes, I did. I watched 3 games today.
You did, yeah.
Yes.
Do either of those teams? Clearly, the Jets aren't going to scare you. Do either of those other 2 teams scare you?
You know something? I think what our defense. I watched Miami. Two of them is some passes that he has to make.
Yeah. He's I don't know. I don't know that there's much.
The Patriots are in trouble.
Yeah, the Patriots are in a lot of trouble. well, Sharon, I appreciate you accidentally joining me. So feel free to accidentally join me anytime. But I'll go ahead and let you go, and you can enjoy the rest of this show, and then you can enjoy Sunday Night Football as well. Go Bills!
Go Bills!
Go Bills! We'll talk to you soon. Well, that was awesome. So Sharon is on Twitter a lot, and she's on this show a lot, and she's in the comment section for the Fina show a lot. So I'm sure that a lot of you have kind of paid attention and seen her. But thank you, Sharon, for joining me. Even if it was accidental, we still appreciate you showing up. Jessica Tennis says, "Hey Joe, hey Jessica, how are you?" Y says it was a good day. It absolutely was. Richard, I'm expecting you to climb into this thing. You're always one to like jump in and show your face. I watched as much football as possible. Today is Andrew's 19th birthday. Well, happy birthday, Andrew. Congratulations on the Bills win and the Bengals, loss. So I know what it's like being there in Central Ohio with the Browns and the Bengals. But Eli asks the question, I'm sorry, L, not Eli, my bad. I'm losing my vision as I'm getting older. So L says, what did I think of the Titans game? That's a really good question. So I watched I was on the Red Zone channel. I watched the first half of the Patriots Dolphins game for the 1:00 game. And then I kind of went to the Red Zone channel for the second half. And then the first half of these 4:30 games. What did I watch? I watched the Cardinals Chiefs game because I just wanted to size up the Chiefs a little bit and then got disgusted. And I think I moved to the Red Zone channel around the second quarter because that one was getting out of hand in a hurry. And I did finish up kind of with that Titans Giants game. And I'll be honest with you, I am in a keeper league, fantasy football keeper league. We keep 3 players, and I've had Saquon Barkley since his rookie season. And I am somewhat of what you would call a closet Saquon Barkley fan. And I have been on the opposite side of a lot of people this year who have basically said that Saquon is done, that his career is, I don't want to say over, but his career is, he's always injured is kind of what they like to say about him. I did come into this season as well. On top of that, very excited about Brian Daboll, basically, vowing to myself that I was going to root for Brian Daboll and Joe Shane over there in New York. So I had an intention to kind of watch some of their games. And then obviously that game with the Titans coming in this next week, our next opponent is the Tennessee Titans on Monday Night Football home opener, which I will be at and hope to see a lot of you guys there. So I had a lot of interest in this football game, and just to see that game kind of unfold and shake down, to see Saquon Barkley play as well as he did. Daniel Jones is not Josh Allen. And it was funny to watch Brian Dable runs some similar concepts to what Josh Allen typically ran for the Bills. And as mobile as Daniel Jones is, he's not he's not Josh Allen. Like I said, he's nowhere near. It was funny because there was a couple times where you could almost see it on Dable's face when they would pan to the sideline. If Daniel Jones would kind of take off on a design run and wouldn't get anywhere, because those are plays that Josh Allen would typically eat on, which was funny. But overall, I think my takeaway, all that to say this, my takeaway from that game is quite simply this. I have a hard time feeling like the Titans should be allowed to come to Buffalo and play the varsity team when they couldn't beat the JV team. And to me, the Giants are kind of the JV team version of the Buffalo Bills. But nonetheless, we're going to get to see them. We are 1-0. It is, as I said, Victory Sunday. It's going to be Victory Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all the way to next week. What a charmed life we're living right now, wildest dreams land. But it's going to be fun. The season is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. Jeffrey Darrow says that Tua and Daniel Jones have the same exact arm. That's funny. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to go through some picks from the weekend that I had made, and just kind of like I'm going to do a little bit of a review of just this week's games. I'm going to talk about the AFC East a little bit. Here's the thing. This is a call-in show. There's a whole bunch of you watching this show right now. This is going to be a very short call-in show. If none of you want to talk about the Bills game on Thursday, and none of you want to talk about the games today, and none of you want to talk about the AFC East and kind of how that shook out, or even the Sunday night game, which is about to start here in a couple minutes. I've got that on the television right here that I'm looking at as well, so we can even talk about that. So all you got to do is I've dropped the link in the comment section of every platform. If you click that link, it's going to take you backstage, and then it'll cue me, and then I'll pull you in, and all you got to do is have a little chit chat with me. So this week's games, I want to talk about my picks real quick. And this is not something I'm familiar with. So Jay Spence the King got me into Tally Site last year, and I don't think I ever made picks. He got me into Tally Site again this year and just kind of impressed upon me. It's important because, people are interested in this sort of thing. And due to the fact that I haven't necessarily been super interested in this sort of thing, I just never really put any type of importance on it. Well, sure enough, I made my picks and I posted them out there like you're supposed to, and I got a bunch of interaction, which was cool. The problem was I did it wrong. So these are my picks for this past weekend's games. And what I did wrong was I picked the winner. So I think that's what's called the money line. I'm not a big sports gambling guy. I like to play blackjack. I like to play Texas Hold'em. I like to play cards, things like that. So sports betting is not necessarily my thing. So I picked the overall winner, which I think is called the money line, just a straight up winner. My intention was to pick by the spread. So the picks that you see in front of you are based on the spreads, and I'm going to give them to you. But what's funny about that is I don't think it would have mattered much. I don't think I lost to the spread this weekend at all. The games that I lost, I just straight lost. So obviously the Buffalo Bills, I took the Bills over the Rams -2.5, which is effectively like giving the Rams 6 points. We know that the Buffalo Bills won that game handily. They won by 21 points. That's why we're all having this conversation, frankly, which is a lot of fun. The Commanders, I took the Commanders over the Jags -2.5. And what was funny, the Commanders being at home, and I got a lot of heat for that one. There was also somebody that's like, hey, let's do a straight up bet for $5. So Commanders over the Jags. I took the Commanders. He took the Jags, and I'm collecting on that $5. So that's a coffee for old Joe, coffee in the bank. And what's funny is when I go through these games and when I pick games like this and I pick stuff, I try to think all the way through it. And I know you're probably not supposed to pick games or pick things based on emotion. But for me, there was just a lot about the Jaguars that I'm not ready to believe in. Carson Wentz, to me, is not the big villain that everybody makes him out to be. I think he's actually a little bit better. And even though, Chase Young was not on that defense, they still have Terry McLaurin. They've got a great running game. There's a lot of talent on that team. So I took the Commanders, and actually the Commanders straight beat them, which was good. So that was a W for me. So that's 2-0 I was for the weekend. The next one, I took the Dolphins over the Patriots. Again, I think the Patriots are just in total collapse mode. I put on Twitter this afternoon that I don't know if anybody remembers the Cleveland Browns from 1995. That was the last year Belichick was the head coach of the Browns before he got fired. The Patriots right now look a lot like that team. They're just very much kind of inept and just not great, not sharp. I don't know what's going on as it pertains to that offensive just kind of play scheme and what's happening there. So that was the W for me. They straight beat the spread rather. This was another one for me. The next game, the Bears over the 49ers, took a lot of heat on this one. And I came out and I said it on the show on Thursday night, super late, meaning it was like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't understand and have not understood for the last month or so the love that Trey Lance is getting. Now I got, don't you think the weather had something to do with it? No, this is the NFL. I mean, there's an aspect of if you're playing in 45 mile an hour winds or 55 mile an hour winds, yes. But rain is one of those things that you should be able to overcome as a football team. And Trey Lance, frankly, just didn't look good. It also did not downpour the whole game. Yes, it was a sloppy mess. And that weather is headed to Buffalo. It'll be here probably tomorrow or the next day. But for all intents and purposes, I was just more of a believer in the Bears at home. They were getting 7 points. The Bears were getting 7 points in this game. So I took the Bears over the Niners, and they straight beat them, which was great. What do we got in the comment section? JR says, you got Chicago. Color me impressed. Yeah, there was several people that felt that way. What JR also says that I feel bad for Mac Jones. That pencil ear freak is going to ruin his career. Oh my gosh. I'm guessing you're talking about Matt Patricia, which is funny. Getting back through the rest of these. Chargers over the Raiders. The Chargers were -3. That was a W. I took the Panthers over the Browns. I just call it vendetta. Call it a lack of belief and trust in Jacoby Brissett. Regardless of how good that Browns defense is, regardless of the fact that they've got Nick Chubb, I literally thought that Christian McCaffrey would probably have more of an effect on this football game than he did. And what's funny about Christian McCaffrey, you want to talk about a guy that's made of glass, right? And we haven't gotten to the Giants game that's coming up, but Saquon Barkley is wildly said as always being injured. I said it earlier. Meanwhile, Saquon Barkley isn't always injured. Saquon Barkley had one ACL tear, and then basically Joe Judge was his head coach. That was what the problem with Saquon Barkley was. Meanwhile, you've got Christian McCaffrey on the other side, who's never been healthy. To include this week, coming into this game this week, he ends up with like a shin injury. How do you end up with a shin injury in walkthroughs in practice? But that's where we are. And everybody believes in this guy. I'm in 3 fantasy football leagues. One of them's a keeper league. He was kept by the owner of that league. The other two the other two are not keeper leagues or straight drafts, and he got drafted in the first round of both of them. Meanwhile, Saquon Barkley fell to like the second or third. It's just amazing to me the trust, the faith that people have in Christian McCaffrey. But I lost that game. The Browns straight beat the Panthers, which was surprising to me, and I didn't feel bad for Baker Mayfield. I could really care less. And as far as the Browns go, I don't really care about them either, just based on everything that's going on with their quarterback. So I took the Ravens over the Jets. The Ravens were -7. They thumped the Jets. The Jets are just a sad story. I took the Bengals over Pittsburgh, -6.5, and Pittsburgh straight won, which was great. Good on Mitchell Trubisky. I took the Titans over the Giants, -5.5, and lost that game because the Giants, as we talked about already, came out and beat the Titans at home. Beat the visiting team, which was great. Chiefs over the Cards, -6. The Chiefs just thumped the Cards. That Cards team. I don't know where everybody else is at with like the Cardinals and just how you guys feel about the Cardinals. But for me, I'm just not a believer in Kyler Murray. I'm not a believer in that team. I'm not a believer necessarily in kind of what they try to do and who they're trying to be. It's just a strange situation for me, that Cardinals football team, their coach, the concepts they run. I just don't buy into it. Colts over the Texans. That was a tie. So the Colts were -7. So I lost because that technically makes the Texans win. Lions over Philly. I just had a feeling. I had a gut feeling. And it's, I'm a victim. I'm a victim like everybody else is. I fell in love with the Lions because of the HBO specials that they do. But it is what it is. The Philly actually went in and oh no, I'm sorry. The line, I won that. So let me back up. Philly won the game. They won the game by 3. The Lions were getting 4. So the Lions actually won. So I did win that bet, but I expected the Lions to beat the Eagles straight up, but they didn't. Saints over the Falcons. The Saints were -5.5, so I lost that one because I think they were like within 2 or something like that. And then I had the Vikings over the Packers plus 1.5. So the Vikings were getting 1.5, and the Vikings straight up trounced them. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to throw this link into the comment section one more time for all of you that are paying attention and watching. And when I do that, I'm going to read Jeffrey Darrow says, let's give a shout out to Jerry Hughes. He had a great game. He actually did have a very, very good game. Jerry's one of those guys that it's hard to have Jerry Hughes gone from this roster. He was the most tenured Buffalo Bill on the team. Now that he's gone, does anybody know in the comment section? I don't know if I've said it on the show before. Real quick, don't anybody Google it. Who's the most tenured Buffalo Bill right now currently on the roster? Who's the most tenured Buffalo Bill? But I thought Jerry Hughes did play a very good game. What else do we got here? RJ Melville says, how many times did you see defensive players just stopping during the play? It looked like they had zero effort from the first snap. I think he's talking about the Cardinals game. There's just a huge lack of just effort there. It was very similar to the Dolphins. After the Dolphins came back from halftime, and they were up by whatever it was, 20 points or 15 points. They were up by 3 possessions. They were almost at the locker room at the end of the second half. They pretty much thought that game was over. So EB said, well, what do we got here? So we've got a whole bunch of people saying Reed Ferguson. Brooks says Isaiah McKenzie. Richard Rush says Little Dirty. RJ Melville says Ferguson. Jessica Tennyson says Ferguson. Daniel Gowrie says Ferguson. JR says Trade A. And then JR looked it up because he comes back and he says, yes, it is Reed Ferguson. So my friend Reed Ferguson is absolutely 100% the most tenured Buffalo Bill on this team right now. And he's a good dude. He's a super, super good dude. If you ever get a chance to meet him or spend some time with him at like a Grills Mafia event, I would absolutely 100% recommend that. He's just a solid guy. Let's talk real quick for just a moment about the Western New York Beer Trail. Hey, Bills Mafia. We all know Buffalo is a drinking town with a football problem. And just like an Allen to Diggs touchdown pass, I have the perfect pass for you. The Trail Pass, that is. The Western New York Beer Trail and the 2022 Trail Pass is your passport to great local craft beer and other craft beverages in Western New York. Whether you when you purchase and you use a Trail Pass, you can get 2 half-price beers at 42 different area breweries, bottle shops, and pubs, including a meadery, a cider works, and a distillery. And you score over $350 of savings inside the pass. Just like a Bills-Patriots playoff game, you score, or a Chiefs Cardinals game today, you score every time you use it. The 2022 Trail Pass is good now through the end of the year and is available along with other beer trail items at the website www.wnYbeertrail.com. And when you go there, click on the shop tab, and if you enter the code the voice 20, which is right here, the voice 20, the voice, no spaces, the voice 20, you're going to get an extra 20% off of the pass. You can also buy the pass if you don't want to get online and do it. You can get it at the Totally Buffalo store in Amherst and Orchard Park, the Buffalo Gift Emporium in Tonawanda, and the One-Eyed Cat Brewing in Williamsville. We at Western New York Beer Trail are proud to support everything local, craft beer, small business, and local charities, and shows like this one, the Western New York Beer Trail. Drink local, support local. We'll see you on the trail. I appreciate Tom. I appreciate his support of this show. And do me a favor, please, all of you, go out and buy the Western New York Beer Trail. Even if you're not in town, go out, type in the code, the voice 20, and purchase a beer trail. Support local, support some local Buffalo things, and that would be awesome. So my buddy Josh Keller is in the room. Do you actually believe this is Brady's last year, as was reported earlier today? Josh, so I would tell you, dude, this is an interesting question because we have all felt Ezekiel Elliott running wild already in the first quarter. It looks like we have all felt that Tom Brady was going to retire at any given moment, right? When he left, or like getting towards the end of the Patriots career or the Patriots time there, we thought that he was going to be done. Then obviously when he left the Patriots, we knew he was going to the Bucs, and then he won the Super Bowl, and we kind of speculated that he was going to be done. It's weirdly different now with Tom Brady. And what I mean by it being weirdly different now with Tom Brady is like the whole ghosting for 11 days when he just vanished from training camp for 11, and he's like, oh, peace out, I'll be back sometime. I don't know. I don't even know if there was a determined time. There probably was with the team. It's just, the whole situation is just weird. And I don't know how to say it any other way than that. I can tell you from this, I believe he has enough competitive fire in him to get through this season. He's on the TV right there next to me. I don't believe that he's going to be the same player this year for 2 reasons. Number one, and the biggest reason, his front 3 interior offensive linemen are done for the season. And Ryan Jensen, his center, is the best center in football. I would go to the mat and fight anybody over that. The fact that Ryan Jensen is not playing is a huge loss to him. His 2 starting guards, his left guard and his right guard, I don't know their names, are also injured. I think that's going to affect his gameplay. I think talking to Fina and talking to former Bills players, there's something about when that you can have that competitive edge, but when it begins to wane, and there's a moment where it's like, oh, I'm not really cut out for this anymore. Vontae Davis actually comes to mind. For those of you that know about Vontae Davis, and those of you that, nice pass, those of you that don't know about Vontae Davis, was a Buffalo Bill. We were playing the Colts. He went in at halftime and retired, packed his locker and split. And I'm going to speak out of turn because I've never been an NFL player, but I have a feeling that when you're on the field of play, and in just conversations that I've had, when you're on the field of play and it feels like you're not supposed to be here anymore, like literally, like I don't want to say afraid, but I think it gets scary. I think you begin to realize that this is a dangerous place to be if your head and your mind is not 1,000% in it. And I think that's where Brady is. I'm not saying he's out, but I think there's a measure of him where he's done. So we'll see. I think the false retirement this past offseason was something to be talked about. But RJ Melville says it will be Brady's last year in Tampa Bay, at least. That's probably true. Jessica Tennis, actually, back to the Reed Ferguson thing. He did get cut last year. So Reed Ferguson, yes, he did get cut, but he was brought back. I actually, when that happened, when he got cut, I messaged Reed and I was like, bro, question mark. He's like, don't worry, I'll be back tomorrow. So I think much like any good organization, I think they would probably have bridged his time. Right. So he's like, there's no gap in his employment with the Buffalo Bills. JR says that Brady will retire with no family to spend time with. It's possibly true. I mean, I don't know how much of that is real or not. I don't know how much of it is made up or not. I mean, there's a lot of speculation there. So it'll be interesting. L says the 10-day looks possible for rain for the Titans game Monday. Hopefully that changes. I'm not worried about it. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be at the game. I would tell you guys this as well. If you're going to be in attendance at the football game, you're going to get to go out and tailgate at the Bills home opener against the Titans game. I will be at the Bills Mafia house. I don't know exactly what time, but I'll be there most of the day hanging out with all the folks. Jay Spencer King is going to be in town. Sterling's going to be in the town. The Bills Mafia babes will be at the Bills Mafia house. There's a chance that Fina is supposed to be here. Colt Schroeder, the Buffalo Nerd, is going to be in town. Well, Anthony from Poncho's Army is there. There's everybody who's anybody outside of Pinto Ron have transitioned to the Bills Mafia house. So come hang out at the Bills Mafia house with us on Monday, and then maybe head over and say hi to Pinto Ron, say hi to Kenny, and say hi to his crew. Get some pizza from Pizza Pete and stuff like that, and then come back over to the Bills Mafia house. Don't hang out in that other lot too long. But what else we got over here? Karen Idzik says, or he won't retire because he needs something to do. That's also possibly getting back to Brady. It's super, super funny. You guys are a trip. Feel free, by the way, if you're not going to join me on the show, at least ask me questions and interact with me in the chat outside. I mean, thank you for the question, Josh. You're the man. But I'm going to go through a couple more of these things here real quick. So for this game that's on currently right now, I've got the Cowboys over the Bucks plus 2.5. So the Bucks are at home getting 2.5 points. And for all of the reasons that I said about Tom Brady, I don't believe in the Bucks this year. So his offensive line, his desire and his will to kind of be there and win. Now that could change. He could kind of light the fire in the middle of the season and pull that whole everybody hates me thing. Like nobody likes me or respects me, and lights a fire underneath him. But for all intents and purposes, I'm just not a believer. And then the Broncos, I've got the Broncos over Seattle tomorrow. The Broncos are the Seattle's getting 6.5 points. I don't think that's going to make a difference. I think the Broncos lay waste to the Seattle Seahawks. They're a bad football team. My buddy Eric Johnson, longtime family friend from a million years ago. Thank you for the super chat. Long time no see, bro. Hi from me and my dad, Randy. Eric, hello. And you tell Randy that I said, what's up? I think he jumped in a week or two ago from Facebook, but yeah, appreciate you. Appreciate Randy. I miss you guys. I think Randy's possibly overseas right now, but we'll see. Does it still look like, JR says, does it still look like that Josh and Patrick are still the two best quarterbacks in the league? Well, I don't understand small things about this topic. So number one, I don't understand when it takes a million years for somebody to get the respect they deserve or that they've been building. Josh Allen. And then I conversely don't understand when somebody has earned 1,000% of the respect that they have, and for some reason people kick dirt on them, and that would be Patrick Mahomes. So if you remember last year, the Chiefs weren't playing well, and I think they were either third or fourth in the West. Like, they were not playing good football at all, right around the quarter to a third of the way through the season, and everybody's like, that's it. The Chiefs' reign. There was a big loss. It might have been against the Dolphins. That's it. The reign is over. Like, the Chiefs are done. And I was like, y'all better stop kicking dirt on that team because they're not done. Meanwhile, here we are. They go to the AFC Championship game. They lose to the Bengals, obviously on an interception. I think it was in overtime or close to it. And then freaking Patrick Mahomes comes out and throws, what did he throw, 5 touchdowns today? Good Lord, 5 or 6 touchdowns. It was insane how well he played today. Yes, Josh and Patrick, especially when you look at maybe the way that Aaron Rodgers played today, didn't look exactly great. It'll be interesting to see how Tom Brady, the number 1 player in football of the top 100, I don't even know how that happens. But I would say right now your 1A and 1B are Josh and Patrick Mahomes, and you can flip-flop them back and forth and just kind of see, kind of how you feel about that. I'm sure it's going to come down to just taste as far as per quarterback. Josh Back says, I think Brady's wife was pissed when he unretired because she came out a couple times that she wanted Brady to be done, or at least she alluded to it or inferred it. But yeah, oh, look at that. So Eric Johnson, who gave me the super chat, says Randy is indeed in Ecuador, and then Randy Johnson says from Ecuador, hi Eric. Randy, is it late there? Like, what time is it in Ecuador? Why do I not know where Ecuador is? I don't know. Funny stuff. You guys kill me. Too funny. Jessica Tennis, December 1st, Thursday night has to be a Fear the Beard night against the Pats. Fitzmagic will be in the house with Amazon. All right. Amy, New Hampshire, thank you for being a part of the show. She says it was more was it more Rodgers or more of the wide receivers or himself? So that game, I think it was a little bit of both. I think there's an aspect of, people get long in the tooth and they get to the point where maybe they're not making the guys around them as good. The hard part about Aaron Rodgers when you're evaluating him is his run game is so good. Aaron Jones is awesome. Robert Tonyan is serviceable. And, the rookie caught, or I should say dropped the pass that hit him right in the breadbasket today. And it was funny because Aaron Rodgers literally looked at the sideline. If you get a chance, go back and watch that or catch it on one of the replays. He looks at the sideline like Devontae Adams would have caught that pass. Is legitimately, or Valdez Scantling, or whatever, Valdez Scantling or whatever his name is that's now with the Chiefs would have caught that pass. So he was not happy. So Randy Johnson says, he calls me the best. Randy Johnson, you were the best, Joe. 1 hour different directly south. Gotcha. I wasn't sure if it was on the other side of the world or not. So yeah, just it is what it is. But so getting kind of back into, I'm going to finish up because none of y'all are jumping in here and joining me. So I'm going to keep throwing this link in here. There's people in the comment section right now that have been on this show many times. I digress. I'm getting a little emotional, but that's not true. I'm not. So let's talk real quick just about, and then I'm going to let you guys go and we can all jump over and we can watch Sunday Night Football. What does what we saw today mean for the Bills? And I would pose this question to the comment section as well. What did you deduce? What did you take away from what you saw in today's games as far as it pertains to the Buffalo Bills, this season, 2022, some of their opponents, the AFC East, and effectively, what we saw on Thursday night from the Bills, which was not, it wasn't, they didn't play D football. They didn't play C football, but they didn't play their best game either. They made some mistakes. They kind of hurt themselves in places. They obviously played better than the Rams, but there's some opportunity there for the Bills to improve and kind of be a little bit sharper as well. So what you saw today, what can you kind of take away from that? Raz with the chat says the Titans are beatable, which is great. JR says, I don't want to be on tonight. That's fair, dude. Just give you a hard time. Yes, Elliot, you can join the show. Elliot Eisler just chat or commented. He said, wait. A call-in show? Yes. All you got to do is follow the link, bro. I'll put it up there again. You follow the link and I'll put you on the show. Raz says the Titans are beatable. I agree. I think the Titans were beatable last year. If you remember, that was a really, really super close game. Raz also says that the Patriots are going south. Well, that's clear. They might eke out. You can't really go 500 anymore, but they might eke out a better season. than maybe we think, but I still don't see them winning more than I can't see them winning 9 games, but we'll see. Amy in New Hampshire says Miami might be more interesting this year. They're definitely going to be the Bills' biggest competition in the East, and I've got the Bills losing 1 game to them. We'll see, but I think it's within the realm of possibility. William Wallen says, I haven't seen such a dominant defense for Buffalo since the 64 AFL championship game. Yes, I'm an old guy. Well, William, I appreciate you. I'm an old guy too. I'm just not as old as you. That's hysterical. Jeffrey Darrow says, I'm looking at seeding already. It's a good day for us. It is a good day for us. It's freaking fantastic. JR says he thinks it looks like another Bills AFC championship game. I can't necessarily disagree. Saxa Dave, all the way over in the UK, says the Bills are going 17-0 and we're going to win the Super Bowl. That would be what, 20 or 21-0? I'm here for it, bro. And I can't wait to see you in Pittsburgh when the Pittsburgh Steelers. I can't wait to see you for the Pittsburgh game when the Pittsburgh Steelers come to town. So Adlib716 says the Chiefs are still our biggest hurdle. Absolutely. Raz comes back, says, are we worried at all about the Finns? Worried is a big word. I'm not worried in as much that I think that I don't think the Dolphins are going to beat the Bills in the playoffs if the Bills have to face have to face them in the playoffs, especially in January. However, I do believe the Dolphins have the ability potentially to make the playoffs. I think there still might be a 2 to 3 game gap between the Bills. I think the Bills, I don't want to say run away with the East this year, but I think there's a good chance that they potentially run away with the East this year. But that doesn't mean that, again, as I said, that the Bills can't possibly lose a game to the Fish. I think the Bills go 5-1 in the division. The Jets, I'll talk about the division here in a second. Elliot Eisler has said, let's go Buffalo a couple times, but he still has not clicked the link. Jessica Tennis is backstage. I'm about to bring Jessica on, but still waiting for Elliot to join. Daniel Frederick says, hi, Joe. This is for the tequila shots at the opener. Go Bills. So I think he sent me a super chat for tequila shots at the opener. Dude, I love me some tequila. I don't know what to tell you. So I'm here for it. Josh, my buddy Josh, comes back, says, are you a Wentz defender because gingers have to stick together? Dude, Wentz is not I'm a strawberry blonde, kind of like a medium light ginger. Wentz is like gingerfied. Wentz is orange. That dude is like straight orange. It's kind of uncomfortable. When I look at Carson Wentz and how red his hair is, how orange his hair is, I get a little bit uncomfortable. Just letting you guys know how I kind of feel. So I'm allowed to say that because I'm a redhead, but yeah, it is what it is. Jeffrey Darrow says Watt is probably gone for the Steelers. That's absolutely true. They believe he tore a pec muscle. We'll kind of see. And then Elliot Eisler says, I'm not worried about the Finns as long as they have Tua as their quarterback. McDaniel is concerning, but they need a different WB. Before we get that 90 style, I think it's supposed to be quarterback. Before we get that 90 style rivalry back from the day. I agree. 100%. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring in Jessica Tennis right now. Jessica, good to have you. How are you?
I'm doing well, Joe. How about yourself?
I am hanging in there. I'm loving life. This to me is elite football time when the Bills have a W on the board from Thursday night and we just get to sit back and consume. If you love football, this is the day that you love because it's not the postseason and we're eliminated, right? This is regular season. We've got the W in the bag. Let's sit around and just watch all the games and just have a ton of fun. So I am living large. I'm having a great time. So what do you got for me, Jessica?
I loved watching the Giants beat the Titans today.
Yeah. Go. Do you have something? What about that game did you like? I've got comments. I just want you to talk.
Saquon Barkley
playing
like he's supposed to be playing for the last 4 years.
Yeah. Yep.
Daniel Jones playing like a real NFL quarterback. It was. I feel sorry for them having the coaches that they've had for the last 2 years or 3 years.
Right. Do you think Daniel Jones is the answer? I saw a couple people calling for Tyrod Taylor on Twitter today. Do you feel like Daniel Jones is the answer? Or do you think they might be a little bit better with Tyrod?
They might be, but he didn't really pass anything very long or deep.
Right.
They're very short passes, but his percentage was like in the 80 percentile.
Yeah. I would love to know. Clearly, Dable took his offense to New York. I would love to know, and we've all heard how difficult and how complicated and complex this offense is that Dable kind of invested into this team here in Buffalo, and Dorsey's running with it and has tweaked it a little bit. I would love to know how much of that offense and that offensive scheme he's taken to New York. And you have to expect that it's going to take any quarterback, a year or two to kind of get to the point where they feel like they've got ownership of it. I just don't know that Daniel Jones is the guy. Like, for me,
he should be able to handle it, Joe. He went to Duke. His coach at Duke was Cutcliffe, who was Peyton Manning's guy.
Yep.
He should be able to handle any sort of difficult offense.
100%. You're 100% right. I can't necessarily. I want to make excuses for the guy. I just can't. Does that make sense? Like, I want to give him the opportunity to maybe be better.
How about Joe Judge as this excuse?
Oh, Joe Judge was bad, but Daniel Jones just to me doesn't pass the eye test. Is that how you feel?
He's big enough. He's fast enough. He's got a big enough arm. The only question has been whether or not he has happy feet. And he's had happy feet for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And he seemed like he did everything he was supposed to do today.
Yeah.
Against a good Titans defense.
Yeah. What do you got for me as far as the Buffalo Bills go? What do you got for me for that? Give me a take for the Bills.
The Bills look like they're in mid-season form. Take away the turnovers.
That defense.
Along with the Chiefs. They're the only two teams that made me think that they're in mid-season forms. Maybe Minnesota also. Yeah.
It's Minnesota looked unbelievable this weekend. Unbelievable. Like, Justin Jefferson had a career game. What do you have? I think the last time I heard he had 184 yards or something like that. I'm sure he finished with more. Like, I could probably look it up, but I'm not gonna. He just had an unbelievable year. So yeah, it's I'm actually going to that Chiefs game, and I'm a little nervous to go to it now. Now, keep in mind the Chiefs throttled the Cardinals. It's not like they throttled the Rams. They throttled a really, really good football team. But yeah, that Chiefs team scares me a little bit. I didn't think
NFC West seems like it's trash right now.
The NFC, well, correct. The NFC West, and we're going to find out more of that tomorrow with Seattle.
Trey Lance, I'm thinking if he has another game like he did today, I think Jimmy's in week 3.
That is
Kyle Shanahan can't wait.
Such a crazy situation, and you might absolutely 1,000% be right. Well, Jessica, I appreciate you being a part of the show. I appreciate you always being an awesome listener. And everybody, this is Jessica. You guys see her and talk to her every single week. So that's Jessica Tennis. Go Bills, Jessica.
Go Bills.
That's Jessica Tennis. She's a long time person to be on the show, which is freaking fantastic. Oh, I got all kinds of people jumping in now. See, now everybody's jumping in. We're going to go immediately to Elliot Eisler. This is my brother from another mother, my musician friend who plays the congas and the bongos and the drums and all kinds of stuff down there in South Florida. Elliot, what's up, bro?
Not much, Joe. How you doing? Thanks for having me on.
I'm doing good. It's nice to kind of finally meet you. You and I have been chatting on Bill shows for what, 4 years, 4 years? It's been a minute.
Exactly. Nice to finally have a face-to-face with you too, Joe.
Well, what do you got for me, dude?
I am just royally excited about the Bills. I mean, I don't want to be like 17-0 excited, but it's almost hard not to be when you look at the makeup of this team. It's like, how are teams going to beat us? But just really excited with what Bonds brought to the team as far as leadership and what we've seen from Dorsey and the play calling on offense. And, just watching some of the breakdowns this week and seeing some of the concepts that Cromer are running from the Shanahan principles and the zone concepts. And there's so much potential for this team that is yet to be touched.
It's crazy. Yeah, you got a question for me in particular? Or do you just want me to respond to that?
I guess my biggest question is Dawson Knox was pretty quiet week 1, and we're going to be playing Tennessee, where he's from. What do you think the game plan is? I can almost about guarantee a Knox touchdown, but I'm just curious, based on what you saw, we had so much fullback and tight end blocking that first game. Where do you see Knox's role moving forward?
So I think you hit it on the head. I think Aaron Donald is a big reason for Dawson Knox kind of staying home, along with Reggie Gilliam this past week, as far as on Thursday night against the Rams. I think Dawson Knox is going to be Dawson Knox. I think there's an expectation, even with that new contract, as much as we know that this time next year, he's probably going to be not a top 5 paid tight end. I think he may have slipped out of the top 5 with Darren Waller getting his deal. But if not, he's right there around 4, 5, or 6. I think this time next year, he's going to be sub 10, so 11 or 12. But I still think that there's an expectation for the Bills for him to kind of move into that top 4 or 5 tight end space, which from a touchdown standpoint, he was there. He just needs the catches to be there. He needs, the yards to be there. He needs all that other stuff. I think Dawson Knox is expected to be a weapon. I think we're going to find him on the boundary, especially if the Bills do more of what we saw on Thursday, which was go into that game with 5 wide receivers. I think you're going to find Dawson Knox out wide a lot more than what we've seen. But I expect him to have a huge season. I drafted him in 2 of my leagues. Just the guy that I wanted, Mark Andrews, was gone, who had a horrible day today. But so literally, I waited, right, and then when the time was right, I took Dawson Knox just because I have an expectation. What do you think his numbers are going to look like this year?
Honestly, I think they're going to be pretty similar to last year. I think he'll end up with 9 or 10 touchdowns when it's all said and done, be a threat in the red zone. There's going to be game plans where he's heavily involved. There's going to be other game plans where we saw like week 1 where he's blocking a bunch. But you know what? We let O.J. Howard go. He scored a couple touchdowns today. It's really going to be important for this tight end room to have a good year for us to justify that and moving forward. But I just was kind of curious what your thoughts were, and I really agree with what you have to say because I think he's going to be a big part. So.
When is the band playing again?
Oh, boy, this weekend we're in Steenhatchee with a big 7-band jam festival, and we're closing it out Sunday night, having a good time.
Steenhatchee?
Yeah. Steenhatchee, Florida, out in the water area on the West Coast.
I lived in Florida for like 7 years. I've never heard of Steenhatchee. And I didn't live in one place. I lived in Clearwater, I lived in Orlando, Kissimmee, and then I lived in Citrus County. I've never heard of Steenhatchee before.
about an hour and a half north of Clearwater, you'll find that little town.
Wait a second. An hour and a half north of Clearwater is Homosassa Springs, where I graduated high school.
You're not too far from there. Steenhatchee just a little bit up from there. So there you go.
World.
I play in Homosassa all the time. So
yeah. Well, if you ever get to Lecanto High School, let them know that I know Joe Miller. They're gonna be like, "Who's that guy?"
I drive by every time.
Class of '91. Class of '91, Lecanto High School.
There you go.
Citrus County, Florida. That's hysterical. Elliot, it's great to meet you. Dude, don't be a stranger. It's been great having you back in the comments section in the chat. I know you get busy, and I know it's tough for you at times, but man, it's always great to have you around.
Always a pleasure. Thank you for having me, Joe. And Go Bills.
Yep, go Bills. Later, bro. Look at this. So this is my first mentor.
I'm online. I can't believe it.
You are live. You are live on YouTube right now, Randy Johnson.
Joe, I can't tell you
from Ecuador.
From Ecuador. And I can't tell you how excited I'm to be on your show, too. When I first saw you, I was like, that's Joe Miller. And then I said, because I was just looking for something to watch on the Bills. And then you popped up. This is several weeks ago.
Yeah.
Or maybe longer than that. And I've been enjoying you ever since. It's just so good to see you doing so well. And I'm just loving this. And, it's funny, Eric's on now, and maybe he's still on, I don't know. But
right.
For the game on Sunday, I couldn't find it anywhere online to watch it without paying through the nose. So I called my son, and he set it up where we both could watch it together because he does a podcast too. So we're chatting about it. Was my best day since I've been here. And it was just so good watching the Bills. I mean, you and me suffered through the 90s, and it's like, this is just so good. So
and the 2000s. So
yes,
20 years of not great football to watch.
I have to tell you though, I have been a fair weather fan and only been back on the wagon, back on the ship for the last couple of years because some of those years I couldn't handle the emotional drainage when it was just too much of a business and not something I was enjoying. So
I totally get it. So for the sake of the listeners, because you and I could probably just break down and end up talking for about an hour and a half, personal stuff. What do you got for me that's Bills related?
Here's the question.
All right.
I like to worry. So what are the top 3 games that I should be worrying about this year? And would you have put the LA team above them or below them or whatever? So would you have been more worried about the LA Rams, or these 3 are going to tell me that I can worry about?
So I would totally. So what I would say is when people have done their schedule predictions and their record predictions, a lot of times they have the Bills losing 4 games, which I tend to agree with, and they always pick the 4 best teams that we're going to play.
But I want to know what you worry about.
Well, hang on, right. So hang on. So the Rams for me would have been one of those teams. So we've already jumped over that hurdle. The Chiefs would be another one that has me a little bit nervous. Obviously when you're talking about a team like the Bengals are going to make me nervous. But at the end of the day, it's the ones that you don't necessarily count on losing. So it's the Jets, it's the Dolphins, it's the Patriots potentially. It's the Jaguars game from last year. And luckily for me and all of my listeners, I was in Mexico last year for the Jaguars game, so I did not do a post-game show. But that game was awful. That game was like the Bills looked nothing like they didn't even look like they belonged in the NFL against the worst team in football last year. So there's always going to be that pop-up game where for whatever reason they're just not ready to play. The matchup is bad. They don't line up well. They don't match up well. Maybe they just don't want to be there. You never know. It kind of ebbs and flows. There's enough primetime games, in my opinion, this year to kind of keep the Bills interested, to give them kind of some interesting breaks, more than a typical 7-day break. But for me, the Rams were definitely one of them, the Chiefs, Bengals, and then a pop-up game somewhere. So is probably where I'm at on those. That's a good question, though.
All right. Well, I would agree. I don't see many weaknesses on the team, and I think we got depth. And I thought even how bad we did in the first half as far as the turnovers, I was still not worried at all at halftime because they can't. There just seemed to be such a level better than I've ever seen them before.
Yeah,
I'm very excited about this season.
It's funny. It's funny because I kind of succumbed a little bit to the PTSD that we have as Bills fans, that they came out so hot early and then went into halftime tied. And it's hard for me to turn that leaf to Josh Allen being in his post-game press conference and saying, when they asked him, what'd you think about the score being 10-10? He's like, I was happy. I was really, really happy. And I was like, okay, why were you happy? Because I was over here a little bit nervous. And in his mind, he's like, if we can make those kind of mistakes against the world champion Rams and still feel like we're playing better than them and be tied, he's like, I knew we had it in the bag in the second half. And
you know what else I see is it seems like the whole team has the same mindset. I don't sense. I mean, everybody's heading, and I think that's a credit to McDermott. It's McDermott. They're all heading in the right direction. They're all heading in the same direction. They all have that same. And I think they almost go for character more than they do
sometimes.
In some cases, talent.
Sometimes. Yeah. So I appreciate you, Randy. Don't be strangers. Hang out. So this show airs. You're in Ecuador. So for everybody listening and watching, Randy's in Ecuador, which is an hour ahead of us, but he's in another country. So feel free to always jump in. So I've got this show 8:00 on usually on Sunday nights, unless it's a primetime game like Monday Night Football. The John Fina show is at 8:00 on Monday. So me and John Fina, which you should know that name, former Buffalo Bills.
I watched that show.
Yeah, and then the Hump Day Hotline is on Wednesdays as well. But Randy, I appreciate you jumping in. This was a good conversation. So we should.
I'll catch you in November when I'm home. We'll do coffee.
Yeah, let's do it. That'd be great. Go Bills.
Right. Love you, buddy.
Love you too, dude. Go Bills.
Please the fam. All right, bye.
You got to say go Bills. I can't let you go until you say
go Bills, man. Show them.
Go Bills. See you, dude. Next up on the line, we got Raz. Raz, my man. You are live with Joe Miller, the voice. What you got for me?
Thank you, Joe, for having me on.
It's good to have you.
I've been a Bills fan a long time, and I tried to not get overly excited for those, victories that even this one seemed a little one-sided, even though they had some problems in the first half. But what gets me the most excited was seeing Jordan Phillips back. To see him excel in the system they have. And what I like about what the Bills do up front, especially with the D-line, is keeping that rotation fresh. You know that someone like Jordan Phillips is going to come in and he's going to be going against tired offensive linemen. And he knows that. So I think it's a great sort of reunion. And then, of course, obviously everyone's talking about Von Miller, but, I kind of like to pick out somebody else that I think is doing really well. So I think we just need to take a minute to celebrate the return of such a good D lineman. And then Ken Dorsey's, masterful command of that offense. I think knowing Josh Allen so well is going to pay dividends later on. I think they'll still have their growing pains.
Yeah.
And I guess my question is, what's more concerning to you, the turnovers, or right now, would you be more concerned with the turnovers in the first half or the special teams? Because, there's always an area for concern. You want to look for places they can improve.
Yeah, I mean, turnovers are going to happen. Quarterbacks are going to throw interceptions. Running backs are going to fumble, and we saw both, right? So we saw Josh Allen throw two. Was it 2 or 3 interceptions? We saw it was 3, right? And then was it 2 or 3? I can't remember off the top of my head. And then we saw Zach Moss fumble. We saw James Cook fumble. The James Cook fumble upset me a lot. First carry as a professional athlete, running through the pile with his arm wagging out there with the ball in his arm. It was just basically they were just begging for it, and he got whammied. I think that the turnovers are going to clean themselves up. I'm not actually too worried about the special teams either. I think the Buffalo Bills are still going to be a little bit exposed from the cornerback situation. As good as Dane Jackson played, as good as Kair Elam, and as good as Christian Benford played, I still think that, none of those guys, those 3 guys together aren't Tre'Davious White. And Tre'Davious White, when he comes back, is going to bring a whole nother element to this football team that's going to open up other opportunities for the safeties to blitz, to do things. That's another thing too, is like they didn't blitz one time in this football game. Getting to your point about the defensive line, not from a weakness standpoint, the fact that this is the first time, possibly at least we've seen it in one game, where the philosophy and what they're trying to accomplish from a scheme standpoint of rolling guys at you and keeping them at 48 to 55% of the snaps actually worked, because it didn't work the last couple of years because of guys like Vernon Butler and Mario Addison, who are, people can argue if they're talented or not. They're not Jordan Phillips. They're not Daquan Jones. They're not Tim Settle. They're not those guys. And Jordan, to your point, he just thrives in this environment. So I think that defensive line is solid. The biggest concern I would have is if we have a key injury somewhere, an injury on the offensive line, I think could derail this. Not a lot, but a little bit. I think losing a guy like Vaughn, Vaughn allows the other players to get free and to do things that they need to do. You're not going to be able to double team Daquan Jones and Von Miller and then anybody else. So there's guys that are going to have to win. So it's going to come down to a potential of complacency there, right? Do guys just kind of get bored because it's always one-on-one, or are they always working and energetic and trying to stay at the top and trying to almost like a competition, trying to beat each other out, right? Like this game is my Boogie Basham got an interception. So how's he going to light a fire under Greg Rousseau, who had an interception last year, to get an interception in the next game or whatever, and how they're going to feed off of each other? But there's always something. I think as I'm thinking through this, bro, I think the biggest concern that I would have is their heads getting a little bit too big, and then beginning to read their press clippings, because this is a very good football team. They don't have a lot of holes. So somebody's got to keep them grounded, and you hope that it doesn't come from losing a game against the Jaguars, right?
Yeah, and I think you see such good core leadership. I mean, from the top down, I've always felt that this coaching staff has been really good at kind of not letting the team get too high after wins, but they also don't let them get too low after losses. They have a very, very good sense of how to improve their areas of weakness. If you look at last year, the struggles against the Tennessee Titans and running the ball, they go out and they get those big bodies in the middle. They have issues with the pass rush, specifically in a game that, nobody wants to really remember in the playoffs, but they go out and they get a superstar in Von Miller. And I'm just excited to see how these pieces continue to gel together. I'm going to have to agree with you that I think they're going to fall into a trap game somewhere. And, I do think that adversity has made this team stronger. So the way that they lost the games in years past, it wouldn't surprise me. It didn't surprise me when they, kind of reconstructed the defensive roster the way they did. And we're talking about little tweaks here, not major wholesale changes.
Right.
And that's the mark of a good franchise. And as a Bills fan for a long time, it's just nice to see such stability, continuity with the coaching staff. They've built tremendous talent on both lines and at every level of the defense. And Allen is good enough to, kind of do what these great quarterbacks have done in the past, because everybody talks about how great an athlete he is, but his decision-making is getting better. The ball's coming out quicker when it needs to. And so I just hope that they can continue to put him in a position to be successful, and there's some good indications, and then the rest of the team will stay humble and maybe kind of weather those storms, when it comes to buying into kind of their own press. So, but awesome that you do the show.
We have a phrase for that on this show, and that's it. Wildest dreams land. Everything that you just said about the continuity of the staff, like all the way down to the coaches, like the front office to the players and the guys that are on literally. Like, and that concept for, I don't know if you're familiar with it or anybody that's listening is familiar. Where I got that from is just this notion of always being told over the last 20 years before Josh Allen and Sean McDermott got here, not in your wildest dreams, man. Like, the Bills aren't making the playoffs, not in your wildest dreams. And here we sit. We've got like one of the best football teams in the league. It's like we're living in wildest dreams land, bro. Like, this is
well,
awesome.
And even for today's games for Sunday, you got to see Dabo get the win.
Yep.
The Steelers walked off kind of at the end of the game there, right? So you love to see it. So it's been a good weekend of football all around, in my opinion.
Well, Raz, I appreciate you being on the show. Thank you so much. Don't be a stranger. Like I said, I got a bunch of shows, but yeah, dude, you're the man. Go Bills.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. Go Bills.
Go Bills. And a late entry, Richard Rush. I knew you couldn't stay away. Richard, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I was just trying to wait for the dogs to calm down.
So did you get a chance to watch that game Thursday?
I watched it, every second of it.
Every second of it, he said. And what was your major takeaway from Thursday?
I was nervous clear up until we got the 2 touchdown lead.
Yeah, gotcha.
Just because of the turnovers, but the defense played outstanding the whole game.
Yeah, they played really, 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 really well. So yeah, so you're live with me on the air, and this is kind of after last year. You were on with me all the time, so this is kind of old hat for you. But what do you got for me, bro?
Just looking forward to next week's game. So I'm going to be there.
Me too. What do you got for a prediction for that game? Oh, that's right. You're coming to town. When are you coming into town? Wednesday or Thursday?
Saturday.
You're coming in Saturday. Gotcha. So there's a going on Saturday. And then Sunday. I'm not sure if there's anything going on Sunday. And then Monday, obviously, Bill's Mafia House is kind of where it's going to be. What do you feel? What are your early feelings after watching Thursday? After watching Sunday's games? What are your feelings for that Monday night game next week?
I'm hoping it's not a close game. I'm hoping it doesn't rain again. The last time it rained, it worked out pretty good in our favor, though.
Right. I'm not worried about the rain.
But
no, I'm not too worried about the rain.
I'm expecting somewhere around 28-17 Buffalo.
Yeah, 2017. I don't think it's going to be that.
28-17.
28-17. Okay, so two possession game. That to me is more or less probably where I would be. I think that's a little more likely as far as that goes. But yeah, dude, I'm with you. So I'm looking forward to seeing you. I'm run over an hour, so I'm going to get you on up out of here. But we might do this again next week. We'll see, because I've got the Monday show and I'll have nothing to do on Sunday. So maybe we'll do another call-in show. It's funny because I've gotten a bunch of comments about not doing Time to Shine this year. A lot of people are like, "You're not doing the call-in show," and I was like, "No." Like it was big early in the season, and then towards the end of the season, it ended up being like you and me for a lot of the games.
Yeah.
I think Brian Bowers jumped in a couple times, who's actually in the comment section right now. But I would love to get this in a situation where like the queue just fills up and like I'm just like giving people 3 or 4 minutes apiece to like kind of have a comment or a question. But yeah, dude, I appreciate you. Being a part of the show. Can't wait to see you, dude.
Can't wait to see you either. And if you do it next week, then I'll be in your hometown.
Yeah, you'll be here.
Yeah,
you'll be here with me. So awesome, bro. Can't wait to see you. I'll see you on Saturday or Sunday or Monday, however it goes. And we'll talk to you soon. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
See you, dude. So real quick, I'm going to wrap this show up, and I'm basically just going to give you, for all intents and purposes, what I believe. And thank you to everybody that has. I know it's hard to do that whole follow the link and call in thing. I know that that's not necessarily easy. So I appreciate every one of you guys. So real quick, before I let you guys go, what is what we saw? And I started this earlier before I started getting a bunch of call-ins, which was good. What is what we saw today mean for the Bills, and based off of Sunday and Thursday? So where I would fall with that, first of all, is nothing. We learned nothing because week 1 is a liar. Always remember, week 1 is a liar. Do you honestly believe the Colts are going to be that bad? No, you don't. It's just one of those things. Like the Titans probably shouldn't lose to the Giants if it's week 8 or week 9. Week 1 is a liar. That doesn't mean that good teams aren't good. It doesn't mean that bad teams aren't bad. It just basically means that not everything that you see is as it seems. So week 1 has the tendency to be a liar. Doesn't mean that it's a liar in all 16 games. It just means that there's lies out there, and we have to be careful not to believe them. Things you can deduce, however, and I'm going to give you 6 things that you can deduce, and then I'm going to let you guys get out of here and go and enjoy the Sunday Night Football game. Number 1, the Chiefs are the Chiefs. I don't know what to tell everybody. I know people don't want to hear that, but the Chiefs are the Chiefs. The Chiefs are a good football team. They're going to be a good football team. As long as Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback of that team, and they've got Travis Kelce, and their young running back looked good today. Juju Smith-Schuster fumbled, but he didn't have a horrible game. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. That defense is pretty good, even missing Tyrann Mathieu. Now, granted, the Cardinals kind of laid down, so there's a little bit of what to expect or what can we expect. I don't know, but expect the Chiefs to be the Chiefs. Number 2, the Bengals won't be asleep all season. There was a lot of talk on Twitter today about the Super Bowl hangover, and Joe Burrow threw 4 or 5 interceptions. It wasn't a great game from him at all. However, he's not going to throw 4 interceptions every single game. The Bengals, when they play the Pittsburgh Steelers again, are probably going to thump them because they're a better football team. The Chargers are good. The Chargers are a good football team, albeit Justin Herbert is not Josh Allen. And there's a lot to be said for our offense being better than their offense. However, their defense with Joey Bosa, with Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson, who was out today, that is a good football team. That is a very, very – that Chargers team is probably, if I had to guess, they're right there with the Chiefs. And the only thing that would make the Chiefs better than the Chargers, in my opinion, is going to be quarterback experience from Patrick Mahomes. The Chargers are very much like the Bills have been the last several years against the Chiefs. The Chargers are kind of like trying to build past, and they're trying to get Justin Herbert, enough experience and tenure under his belt and enough snaps to get to the point where he can beat Patrick Mahomes. I don't know if he's there yet, but make no mistake, that's a good football team, and they can probably beat anybody in the NFL, to include the Buffalo Bills. Now, the AFC East, and then I'll let you guys go. The Patriots are trash. The New England Patriots are garbage. In my opinion, I don't know what's going on there. This whole play calling thing, it was a big spot even for the announcers, the broadcast announcers, to talk about the Patriots and who's calling plays, and they've got the camera zoomed in on Joe Judge and Matt Patricia, and they're trying to figure out who's talking and why and what that guy's doing. Like, if the announcers are confused, the players are confused. That football team is trash. And they're probably, I would say that they would finish last in the AFC East, except for the fact that the Jets are in this division. And the Jets, geez, Louise, the Jets are the Jets. The Jets are just, I don't know how you can have that much talent on a football team and still trot your quarterback, your 400-year-old quarterback out there and make him throw 60 times. Joe Flacco threw the football 59 times, and the crowd was chanting Mike White. Think about that. The last time Jets fans saw Mike White, the Bills buried him 6 feet under the ground. And the fans were chanting for Mike White today. The Jets might be the worst team in football. The Patriots are not much better. And the Dolphins, while they are good, I'm going to leave you with this. While the Dolphins are good, and the Dolphins are probably going to be pretty good, I see them as potentially a 9 or 10 win team making the football. They're not to be feared by the Buffalo Bills or this fan base. They might steal a game from us. They're not going to beat us in the playoffs. But the Buffalo Bills, for all intents and purposes, should 100% be AFC East champions this year. It shouldn't even be a contest. But that's basically what I learned from this week's games. Now, that doesn't mean it's not going to change, although I don't see it changing much. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been tuned into the Overreaction Buffalo Postgame Show, the call-in edition, brought to you by the Market Dominator team on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network, presented by Picasso's Pizza. My name is Joe Miller. I'm the voice of this year's show, and I love every single one of you guys. I appreciate you hanging with me on a Sunday night. Go and watch this Tampa and Dallas game, which right now is 6-3. I'm excited to see just kind of how it ends. Tom Brady is he's on the 13-yard line. He just handed the football off, but enjoy this football game. Enjoy the game tomorrow night. We'll all be back together, next week, Monday, for this show, Monday night at the very latest. Tomorrow night, John Fina, Off Tackle with John Fina, 8 o'clock. Tuesday night, Code of Conduct with Jay Spence the King, 8 o'clock. Wednesday night, Hump Day Hotline with me. It'll be Sterling Furrow again because Jay Spence the King will be traveling. So it'll be me and Sterls for the girls on Wednesday night. We had a great show. Had a lot of fun last week. Thursday, the Buffalo Nerd. Friday, Food for Thought. And then there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on this weekend. So the Megapod is this weekend, I think on Friday. Karaoke night is Friday. The Megapod is Saturday. If you're near Buffalo, around Buffalo, and you want to come out to, is it Resurgence Brewery? I think is where it's at. I should have the graphic, but I don't have it. Karaoke night is Friday night for charity. I think it might even be sold out at this point. And then the Megapod is not. You can just come and go. It's going to be a ton of fun. I can't believe it's here already. And then Sunday is Sunday, and then obviously Monday we'll all be at the Bills Mafia house. So, ladies and gentlemen, do me a favor. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, don't be a stranger. Connect with me, interact with me. I hope to see you this week at the game if you're going to be there. Otherwise, I'll catch you Monday night or tomorrow night or Wednesday night. I'll catch you soon. But I love you guys. This is Joe Miller for Buffalo Rumblings. Go Bills.